Welcome to the What We Need Spotlight interview series. Thank you so much for making the time to be a part of this interview series. So can you please tell us your name, where you're located, and the organization you're associated with? You can briefly tell us about your organization's work.
I am Chinta J, Munasinghe, that's my full name, and I'm located in Sri Lanka. Then my organization is called NIDAHAS CHINTHANA SANSADAYA, Consumer Action Forum, and the organization is actually an organization of persons with psychosocial disability and volunteers who are helping them in, when they were not well, to come back to their, previous status and live a, decent life. So the volunteers and then these persons with psychosocial disability who actually advocate sort of, because our membership, to get our membership, people have to be ready to share their stories. To make other mentally people to come back from there, like normally people don't come out. So this organization is to help people, motivate people to come and, accept that this is another kind of, so it is not something to be stigmatized, to become leaders and then, educate others. So that is basically the organization's objective. So we have about 140 members. Out of them, 40 are really doing advocacy kind of work, really doing educating other stakeholders, especially authorities, especially like then service providers in other sectors, not only health, like economic development, social services. Then we work with organizations of persons with disabilities, cross disability sector, like specific disabilities like people with hearing impairment, people with visual impairment. So there are specific associations. We work with them together because they also have this. This is a very common thing. So everybody will have these psychosocial issues in their life. Then some we work with women heads of household, because Sri Lanka having this war for some long time. There were a lot of widows, and also because of other family disputes, there were women who are single parent. So they have their own psychosocial issues. So they all are working with us. So in a way that though we lead it as a person with psychosocial disability, the organization actually kind of inclusive when we are working.
Thank you, Chinta. Thank you for sharing that overview about your organization. So the next question is that your organization, NCS CAF, has tons of experience of engaging communities in a variety of ways. Can you please explain the different methods you use to engage community members with the aim of assessing needs and spreading the message and value of inclusion in the communities?
Yeah. Okay, now when we approach the community or other stakeholders, we use different methods. One is we use we go and along with the community leaders, we organize community consultation workshops. It's kind of an open kind of meeting one day. So we invite persons who are having, experience in psychosocial disability, and then even family members, then any, service providers, the community members to come, and where they will, explain what is the kind of what is psychosocial disability, in the sense that whether the community should really corner them, they shouldn't be, and so the people to feel that they should take the responsibility. So that is kind of a sensitization programs we do, especially for the these officers kind of thing. We use another technique called human library. Human library is like basic workshops where 4 or 5 of us will go, we share our story, and then let them to, analyze that story by themselves and present that as a group work. And then like how are we going to help them? How can these people be included in our other programs? Because in Sri Lanka, even within the disability sector, persons with psychosocial disabilities are not being included. They're not given a chance in the sense that they forget. Because they forget these people. Kind of, it's like a forgotten community. So human library is something like that. You share it, like then people can ask questions and then they come up and then that also make them realize because these are the leaders actually or good entrepreneurs experiencing psychosocial disability. So people tend to know that these are not the kind of people who are in the hospital or in the doing nothing kind of people. So then they have some kind of a develop some kind of confidence on them. After that, we will do like a further kind of, if they are interested, we do kind of little training on, how to work with them, how to be sensitive, like counseling kind of things we organize. We also had like a bigger events that is in special days. So if we are invited, they like, even, big organizations invited us to do like a general public awareness. There we use we call it like it's a forum theater. We call it like a theater of the oppressed. So we use again our life story in a much more like a drama. So in that, like we do the drama and then ask people to change the end because it's normally the drama ends with a tragic end. So if we are to change that tragic end, then we invite audience to make the changes. So we do the drama again and then they'll stop and they come and change it. Then the audience perform. They take the roles and they perform, and that has found to be a very effective and very popular kind of theatre because following us, there are now about 2 or 3 other theatre groups formed by persons with psychosocial disability groups as well as the health professionals, mental health professionals got together and formed it to educate their community. So these are the kind of thing we do. We also write life stories. It's kind of like a catharsis for the people. So when they write, it is kind of self-counseling. So they write, and it was amazing. Recently, I have done a program, and all of them wrote their life stories, and to see that they all were very good writers. So we got about 25 real good writers who can write their stories. They did their own story, but then they will go and do interviews and then write about other stories. So these are the kind of work we are mostly engaged in. Then, I forgot to tell you, in this community consultation workshops, end of the workshop, a volunteer committee will be formed. That will also including in that area anybody having psychosocial disability and the family members, like caregivers kind of, and then volunteers or community members, officers together, they form like volunteer committees to take the responsibility to work with them, to make them inclusive, to support them in the need. So that is how the approach normally NCS CAF we call ourselves in short form. So we do.
Thank you, Chinta. Thank you so much for giving that explanation because there are all these variety of ways we can actually work with and engage communities. So thank you for adding on to that. And I'll once again thank you convey my thanks from the TCI Secretariat to be a part of this spotlight interview series. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.